Oh yeah, the amazing tundras of Canada. I felt an urge to kind of just come out here, enjoy nature a little bit, and film a video. It's getting a little bit warmer. It's a pretty harsh winter, I'd say, personally. Just absolutely bitter, absolutely freezing. Nonetheless, there's a ray of light, there's a ray of hope. That's good. The thing I love about coming out here in nature is, especially well out from the city, is there's very few people, especially in winter, that are around. So you kind of just get the freedom to walk carefree, and in my case, talk as loudly and boldly as I want out in the open air. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, as of recent, my mind's just been full of thoughts, full of ideas, and one of them being frying my brain, so I no longer overthink. I mean, I'm not really that old, almost 24,000 years old, so I guess I'm an ancient in some ways, but nonetheless, I notice as I get older, I tend to be a little less neurotic and not thinking as much before taking big action. You know, things that used to scare me are no longer that, it's no longer that terrifying. Maybe that also just comes from having greater faith in Christ and sort of just whatever God wills, so be it kind of mentality and belief. Not entirely sure, but yeah. I feel like when you go through enough trials, when you sort of been through the ringer, been kneaded over enough times, you sort of get a general feel, you kind of get used to it, and it doesn't really seem to phase me as much. And I take that as a good thing, I take that as a good sign. I mean, it's always good to be calm under pressure and collected, and I think that's a good trait, an admirable trait, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, kind of plotting a little bit, planning a little bit on the business this upcoming year. If you've been following the channel, and you know, I run a landscaping business in the summer. So I've been spending the off time sort of planning and re-strategizing, sort of branding, if you will, kind of changing the name to fit the target audience's wants and desires, working on spreadsheets, that kind of stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot, I'd say, this winter. Definitely wasted a lot of money, so I'm going to try to patch that error in the upcoming year, be a little bit more profitable, and just looking to be a lot more efficient this year, a lot more calculated, I'd say. So yeah, I'll have some more videos on that in the upcoming season when it gets a little warmer. I'll be updating you guys on that. Let's just take in this view, everybody. One of my favorite spots, I gotta say. Super peaceful, very unique sort of terrain. If you see this place in the summertime, it's really neat. Just the rocks kind of integrate with the soil, so there'll be like random escarpments, just random patches of like flat slate rock and very tiny trees. Like if you notice the trees, I mean, they're a bit bigger than I remember them, but they don't tend to get too big. And I think I don't know if it's because there's a fire that's recurring or if it was just one big fire. All I know is that there's a huge fire that sort of just like took over this entire patch of land and did something to the dirt where it like demineralized it because it got burnt so bad. So now there's very few and far trees between. And it sort of like burnt off a layer of the dirt or something. So they don't really grow that tall. And it's a lot of shrubs and I guess a specific type of snail like thrives in this environment for some reason. So in the summers or in the springs, almost summer, there's like a million, like you could not walk through here without crushing 10 of them every time you take a step. Snails just covering the entire place. It looks like something out of another planet. It's really bizarre, and they're like dangling off all the little sticks poking up, dangling off all the bushes. They're everywhere. They just completely coat this place, and it makes no sense. And legend has it that there's a pack of rivaling dwarves, believe it or not, in this area, just outside my hometown where I grew up. The border is actually this pathway that I'm walking on right now, and they fight over control of the land to harvest the snails. Believe it or not, local legend, local myth, may be true, may not be true. That's up to you to decide. I like to believe, well, I won't tell you what I believe, but anyways, yeah. As you can see, there's this like abandoned building off in the distance there. Kind of cool, kind of interesting. Sometimes I have to wonder, you know, with this whole YouTube stuff, why make a video? You know, sometimes you have to wonder if anybody's gonna watch the video. But at the end of the day, it's the end of the day, and if you enjoy it, I think this is the limit for me, guys. If you enjoy it, why not pursue it and see where it goes, you know? I remember first starting making YouTube videos, thinking that this was going to be like some huge life-changing thing. Like I was thinking, wow, you know, if I just do this for 5 years, I'll hit like 100,000 subscribers and, you know, I'll be famous and I'll have lots of money and my life will be complete and that will be it. But obviously that's not where I'm at right now. Obviously that's not the case. And obviously accolades aren't going to lead to fulfillment. But as funny as it is, that sort of like motivated me a little bit at the beginning, because I was like, wow, this would just be so cool. Just have all these subscribers and accolades and fame and give me whatever I desire. But yeah, it's a very shallow foundation, and yeah, just letting you know that's not how I view it at this point, obviously. But yeah, sort of what I thought would happen, and I'd say, I don't know, I'd say it's changed my life, I guess, but in a way that's not as grand, but probably a lot more impactful. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's kind of just a fun thing, you know? It's like having something, it's like an outlet, if you will, you know? And I feel like without an outlet, we can become, I don't know, maybe, what's a word? Probably crazy would be the best way to describe it. it's like the artist, right? You know, an artist has to paint or they don't really feel right. A musician has to make music or they don't feel right. You know, if you're creative, you kind of have to create something, whether it's a video, a photography, a piece of art. And to me, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like creating something, throwing an idea out there, you know, kind of taking what's in my brain and like articulating it and getting feedback. You know, the feedback is super important, I think, for anybody that has some sort of creative endeavor, whether you're a chef and you're creating delicious meals. You know, that feedback, hearing other people's disapproval or approval kind of like adds validity to it. It makes it more real, and it kind of almost reaffirms in a way that what you're doing is impacting the world, albeit in big or small ways. So yeah, that's kind of what I get out of it, is more of like an outlet, to just kind of put bottled up ideas out in the world and see what clicks, see what sticks, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think it's been about 4 years of making videos, and sometimes I'll just look back at some of my older videos and think, what in the world was I thinking? This is like complete and utter nonsense. But it's good, you know, because then you kind of get to see, okay, wow, there is like something to improve at here. You can actually get better at this thing, like subjectively or objectively, you know. You can actually get better at this thing. And it's kind of just, it does have a level of skill, you know, whether it's finding the right scenery, coming up with better ideas, speaking a little more clear, a little more concise. You know, there's something to sort of improve on, which is always good to see. And I really like this idea. I think it's Japanese. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't even remember what it's called. I hear it in jiu-jitsu a lot. But you basically pick something, right? Whether it's just anything you can't master, anything that's like impossible to complete. It could be a martial art, it could be art, it could be a trade. And you sort of just pick it and you like dedicate your life to just getting better at it. And as you work on it, it begins to work on you, right? In order to get past the stages of beginner to amateur, amateur to professional, professional to master, you gotta whittle away at yourself a little bit as you're learning the skills necessary to reach those thresholds. And I've never achieved mastery, I'd say, in anything, but from what I hear in books and stuff of masters of their craft, is that once they achieve mastery, it's like a new beginning. Once again, you know, in jiu-jitsu, the black belts, once they've had a black belt for so long, the color of the belt begins to wear away and it turns white again. And it's like you're going back to your beginnings, you know, when you first started. So that'll be exciting one day, you know, becoming a master of something, a master of the craft. But yeah, 4 years on YouTube, hopefully another 4 more years, but you never know. And something I find about learning skills is it kind of like correlates in a way, like say you get really good at, I don't know, I can't even think of something. Say you get really good at like martial arts, like a martial art, but then you want to kind of pivot your career into something else, but you've learned what it takes to reach a black belt in the martial art. You have the meta skills to become great at something, so you can kind of apply the same principles to whatever it is you're learning. You know, same with trades. Say you get really good at a trade, then you could apply the skills that you learned in that trade to a martial art. And it's like people in trades actually kind of have an advantage in martial arts, I feel like, because of the grip strength, right? You know, they're using their hands all day. They know how to use their body. So then when they go into martial arts, it's like they can kind of use those strengths to their advantages, right? But it's like that with everything in life, I feel. But yeah, I'm approaching the highway here, or the main road, so I'm gonna close it off now. However, I hope you liked this video. Hope you found value in it. Do take care, and until next time, peace.